Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Armageddon. Today we're going to be featuring a Brawl deck with Oswald Fiddlebender as our commander, as the first of our series of Brawl videos featuring commanders from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Oswald is basically a birthing pod for artifacts, in that he has an activated ability that lets you sacrifice an artifact to search up another artifact with a mana value of 1 higher than the sacrificed artifact's mana value. So obviously the best home for Oswald is an artifact synergy deck. And because Oswald can search up any artifact in the deck, provided we sacrifice the right artifact to him, we are going to try to assemble the combo, which you may remember from our Emery Brawl deck, of Paradox Engine plus Aetherflux Reservoir, and win the game with those. I've broken the deck up into categories, so let's look at them now. First up is our mana acceleration. We're playing Forsaken Monument, which doubles how much colorless mana our lands or ramp artifacts produce, so we're mostly playing ramp artifacts that make colorless mana. One exception is Fabrication Foundry, which adds white mana to cast artifacts or activate abilities of artifacts. We're playing it mainly for its activated ability to exile artifacts we control to return an artifact from the graveyard to the battlefield. Automated Artificer adds colorless mana with the same restrictions as Fabrication Foundry, while we also have most of the traditional ramp artifacts at 2 mana: Guardian Idol, Mind Stone, Solar Transformer, and the Iron Crag. At 3 mana, Voyager Quick Welder, as well as Foundry, Inspector, and Cloud Key give a discount to our artifact spells, while Thran Spider creates a Power Stone token for ramp and has an activated ability that provides card advantage. Meanwhile, Pristine Talisman gains us life. Semblance Anvil can exile an artifact from our hand to give our artifact spells a massive discount, while Worn Power Stone adds 2 mana. At 4 mana, Hedron Archive adds 2 mana and can be sacrificed to draw 2 cards, while the new Ring of the Lucy from Final Fantasy adds 2 mana or can be used to tap down opposing non-land permanents. Rune-Carved Obelisk adds 2 mana and can also be sacrificed to seek a card with a mana value less than or equal to the number of charge counters on it, while Solemn Simulacrum puts a basic plains onto the battlefield tapped and is also excellent sacrifice fodder for Oswald's ability. In addition to doubling how much colorless mana we make, Forsaken Monument also buffs our colorless creatures and gains us life when we cast colorless spells. The Might Stone and Weak Stone adds 2 mana, and when it enters, we can choose to either have it act as removal or draw 2 cards. Finally, Ugin, Eye of the Storms, acts as removal whenever we cast colorless spells, draws cards, and can add 3 colorless mana. His ultimate, which is achievable, lets us play almost all of our artifacts for free. Next, we have our sacrifice fodder for Oswald. Market Gnome draws us a card and gains 1 life when it dies, while Wizard's Rockets draws a card when it is put into the graveyard from the battlefield. Clay-Fired Brick searches up a plains and puts it into our hand when it enters, and if we don't sacrifice it to Oswald, we can use its craft ability to transform it into Cosmium Kiln, which is an Anthem effect. Ichor Wellspring draws a card when it enters and when it is sacrificed, while Lembas scries and draws when it enters, and is shuffled back into our library whenever it is put into the graveyard. When we sacrifice Masterpiece Vault, we draft an equipment from its spellbook and put it straight onto the battlefield, attaching it to a creature for free. When Workshop Assistant dies, we return any artifact from our graveyard to our hand, while Ugin's Nexus lets us take an extra turn if it would be put into the graveyard from the battlefield, although it's exiled instead, and while it is in play, it prevents the opponent from taking extra turns. Next, we have cards that synergize with Oswald's ability, or replicate it, as in the case of Norn's Disassembly, which allows us to sacrifice an historic permanent to seek an historic card. The new Elixir from Final Fantasy shuffles all non-land cards in our graveyard into our library. Builder's Talent creates a wall token when it enters, and can be leveled up to put +1/+1 counters on creatures whenever we play a non-creature, non-land permanent, and eventually returns a non-creature, non-land permanent from our graveyard to the battlefield. Scarecrow can return artifact creatures from our graveyard to the battlefield, while Scrap Trawler makes it so that whenever we sacrifice an artifact with Oswald, we can return a cheaper artifact to our hand. Meanwhile, Refurbish and Tune Up put an artifact from our graveyard onto the battlefield. Slagstone Refinery makes Power Stone tokens when we sacrifice artifacts, while Repair and Recharge returns any artifacts from our graveyard to the battlefield and creates a Power Stone token. Next, we have our interaction. Dusk Rose Reliquary exiles any artifact or creature while it is in play and is difficult to interact with, while Portable Hole is an efficient answer to cheap permanents of any kind. Argent Dice can exile any non-land permanent, allowing that permanent's controller to draw 2 cards, so if we want, we could use it on our own permanents. Glass Casket exiles cheaper creatures, while Defense Grid taxes spells cast at instant speed. Its effect is asymmetrical, since all of our spells are cast at sorcery speed. Perilous Snare exiles any non-land permanent, and if we reach max speed, we can use it to put +1/+1 counters on our creatures. The new White Auracite from Final Fantasy exiles a non-land permanent as long as it is in play, and also ramps us, while Unstable Glyph Bridge is a board wipe that can be crafted to transform into Sand Swirl Wanderglyph, a flying threat that greatly hinders the opponent. Meanwhile, Meteor Golem destroys any non-land permanent without condition. Cityscape Leveler destroys a non-land permanent when it is cast or when it attacks, giving the opponent a Power Stone token each time it does, and it can be unearthed out of the graveyard. While Portal to Phyrexia makes the opponent sacrifice 3 creatures, and on our upkeep, returns any creature from any graveyard onto the battlefield under our control. Next, we have our card advantage engines. The One Ring gives us protection from everything when it enters until the start of our next turn, and it can draw progressively more and more cards. It is great to have in play alongside Paradox Engine, so it is key support to our combo. Mystic Forge can play artifacts off the top of our library, and can exile a card we don't want to cast or can't play off the top to dig for more artifacts. While the Immortal Sun discounts all our spells, buffs our creatures, and draws us an extra card each turn. It does shut down Planeswalkers, but we only have one, and Ugin's passive ability to exile a permanent of one or more colors still triggers whenever we cast a colorless spell, even with the Immortal Sun in play. Finally, we have our win conditions, including the combo of Aetherflux Reservoir and Paradox Engine. In case the combo doesn't work out, we also have other ways to win games. First, Patchwork Automaton grows bigger as we cast artifact spells, while Sir Ginger Meal Ender picks up +1/+1 counters and scries whenever another artifact we control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, so she works very well with our commander's ability. Sculpting Steel is a versatile artifact that can copy any other artifact on the battlefield, including any controlled by the opponent. It is in this category because we can copy Aetherflux Reservoir with it, making it easier to win with our combo. Guidelight Synergist is an evasive threat that gets bigger the more artifacts we control. Thousand Moon Smithy makes a large Gnome Soldier token when it enters, and if we can transform it into Barracks of the Thousand, can make more and more Gnome Soldier tokens as we cast artifact or creature spells using mana produced by the Barracks. Traxos Scourge of Krug is a massive trampling threat that untaps whenever we cast an historic spell, including our commander and every artifact in the deck, which are the majority of non-land cards in the deck. While finally, the new Machinist's Arsenal from Final Fantasy enters attached to a hero token and buffs a creature equal to the number of artifacts we control. I won't go over the mana base in great detail, because we have a lot of colorless utility lands to go with Forsaken Monument, all of which have various useful abilities. But I will mention that we do have the new adventure land from Final Fantasy, Ishgard the Holy Sea, which can be cast first as a spell to return up to 2 artifacts from our graveyard to our hand. So that's our Oswald deck. Now it's time to take it into the queue and play some games. On the draw, we've got some 2-mana ramp, more ramp with Ran Spider, some interaction with Perilous Snare, and a win condition with Thousand Moon Smithy, so I think we keep this. 3 lands as well. Probably won't take advantage of Ishgard's Adventure, because we're going to need to play it as a land early. Facing Jodah the Unifier, only it's the Final Fantasy Through the Ages version, so Warrior of Light. Anyway, this is a keeper. Okay. Opponents... Okay, there we are. Alright. And opponent and I have identical avatars and companions. Another win condition with Machinist's Arsenal. So we'll play Ishgard tap here. Alright, opponent leads with Ozolith the Shattered Spire. Alright, so... there's nothing I actively want to sacrifice with Oswald, so I think we'll ramp first. And this will let us play Traxos next turn, and start applying some pressure to opponent. Interesting. Opponent puts the counters on the Shattered Spire. I wonder if they have a way of animating it. I could also play Smithy, although I'm not close to transforming it, and the Gnome Soldier token won't be that big. So I think Traxos is better here. And Traxos, the sight of Traxos is enough for a concession. Alright, well, that was quick. On we go. On the play, only 2 lands, and I don't have any white sources. Although Plaza of Heroes I can use to cast Oswald, and once Oswald is in play it taps for white. But I generally prefer to have 3 lands in my opening hand if I can help it. So let's look for 3 lands. Still only 2. But we've got Traxos, White Auracite can exile Heliod. And we've got Paradox Engine. I'm still a little unsure if I keep this, because I don't know how many times I've kept a hand with 2 lands and never drawn land 3. At least Fabrication Foundry and Artificer can ramp out our other cards in hand, so we'll give it a try. There's the Iron Crag. That's a little more versatile than Artificer or Foundry, so we'll play that here. Alright, we draw land 3. Maybe I should have played Fabrication Foundry, because that would have allowed me to play White Aura Site. I think we get Traxos down here. Nope, we definitely want to keep the Iron Crag as ramp for now. Looks like opponents got removal for Traxos. Nope, they just play Heliod. Ugin. Now, unfortunately, Fabrication Foundry, Automated Artificer do not ramp Ugin. White Aura Site does. And we'll be able to play the White Aura Site next turn. And you will notice we have not drawn land 4. That has happened surprisingly often. Again, kept 2 lands, drew land 3, never found land 4. So we'll have to hope we draw land 4 soon. And Traxos gets it done again. Alright, well there we go. Another quick victory. On we go. On the play, no ramp, but I've got Perilous Snare for Mythweaver Pock, Guide Light Synergist, Repair and Recharge. We'll keep it. We also have 3 lands. It's too bad Norn's Disassembly isn't an artifact, because I'd happily sacrifice it to Oswald. Alright. Treasure Vault coming in handy as an artifact land, so it pumps the Guide Light Synergist. And they always have a land. Yep. I'm not sure why Oswald is getting paired up against Smithweaver Pock. That's really ridiculous. Like, seriously. We'll take 13. Alright, for once they don't have land. We draw land 4, that's great. And then I can fetch Cityscape Leveler with Meteor Golem. Now, Cityscape Leveler won't trigger, it's only on cast, but having a big 8/8 that can start blowing up opponents' non-land permanents seems pretty good to me. We'll take 7. Alright. There's Mythweaver Hawk. Evolution Sage. Not sure what Evolution Sage is doing in opponent's deck. And since I don't see any counter synergies. Alright, none of opponent's creatures have reach, so the Guidelight Synergist is going to get in for lethal. Well, he managed to scrape by and get just enough interaction for the Mythweaver Pock matchup. On we go. Only one land. This is a mulligan. Alright, this is better. We've got White Auracite for ramp and his removal. No early acceleration, but I think this is still keepable. Alright, we're gonna have to play Ishgard as a land. For Ginger the Meal Ender. Wellspring. so that's gotta go. Don't think I want to get Fran Spider. Let's get Warren Power Stone here. Alright, how much mana are we working with here? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I can cast Cityscape Leveler, blow up Golos, and activate Oswald Fiddlebender. Oh, that's not an artifact. Alright, well, I don't want to sacrifice... Diamond Weapon. Is immune to combat damage. Alright. Well, we lucked out there. I'll take it. On we go. On the draw. 3 lands. Probably don't need Dustbro's Reliquary. We'll try it. Alright, well that was obnoxious, but on the bright side, you're able to get rid of opponent's ramp. Alright, they play Isika. Alright. I would like to draw land. And then... yeah, I don't mind drawing land here. Jumbo Cactar. Well, this is not what I usually expect to see from an Isika deck, but this has been interesting. We'll take 4. Unip could get Semblance Anvil back, but Ether Flux Reservoir. I could also cast Ugin. Exile Jumbo Cactar. Add 3 mana. Exile Phylath.
Preparation here. Knowledge equilibrium must be restored. Spend this mana wisely. Power belongs to the patient.
No attacks. I think we let Ugin take 4 here.
You cannot pierce my scales.
Alright, so let's see here.
I am the master of this world.
And that's enough for opponent. Alright. That tends to happen when you resolve Uganai of Storms. Alright, well, there we go. That's our Oswald deck. And unlike our Emery deck, which relied a lot more on the Aetherflux Reservoir Paradox Engine combo, our Oswald deck tended to win by other means, usually by ramping out threats like Traxos or building up a big Surginger, that kind of thing. So even though it's similar to Emery, still lots of differences. And of course, you have the different options available to you playing an artifact deck in white compared to blue. So that'll do it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching. Do please like and subscribe. If there's another commander from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms you'd like to see, or maybe a commander from Final Fantasy, let me know in the comments. And see you next time. Bye.